All right, we're recording. So we're going to get started. I want to first of all thank everybody for hopping on this awesome Tuesday. If you guys are brand new and this is your first time hopping on this Zoom, we do it every single week, same time. And with the time change, I'm so excited because it's only 2 hours difference for me from the East Coast. So it's not so early in the morning. I'm super excited. But same time every week, 12 noon Eastern, same link. So if you want to save this link in your phone so that you have it for you and your team members to send out to them, um, this call's amazing. This Zoom has grown so much. I was just thinking about when I first started it a couple years ago. I wanted it to be a call where we could hear from different 200Ks in the company, and it's incredible how many 200Ks I've interviewed. Almost 100 200Ks. We never run out. That's because there's so many awesome 200Ks in this company, and I always get so excited because that's a comp plan. When you have that many 200Ks, it's a comp plan that anybody can get to the top of. And every week, no matter who I've asked, even if they're not on our team, they're a sideline, which most of the people that I interview are sidelines, or on a completely different team in the company. No one has told me no. And I just get so excited about that because not all companies work like that, you guys. Some people are like, I'm not doing a call for somebody that I'm not making money on or off of. And what I love about Lavelle is we all just want to see everyone succeed, and everybody has been more than happy to hop on and share their tips and their story with us. And today is no exception. I am super excited because I have Nickie Gullahorn on today, who is honestly, she's like kind of one of the first people I met in Lavelle. um, we were on I can't remember, were you in New York or was it a lifestyle getaway? But I
Oh,
met you and you were just so nice and so sweet. And every time I see you, you are. And I'm like, I hope everybody's this nice and sweet because you were one of the first people that like talked to me. And I just thought you were so amazing. And I started kind of stalking you on Facebook. And I can't wait for everybody to hear your story and your tips today. And I wanted to jump right in, Nickie, with kind of, I want people to know who you are. Like, what were you doing before you got into like this in-home business side gig? And is your like Lavelle your first company that you've ever done, or did you do any network marketing before Lavelle? And then we'll kind of go from there.
that sounds awesome. Well, Lisa, it's my pleasure. And I think you had me at dimples. Those little dimples of yours, I love them. And I love you and your leadership and your story. I think a lot of times in this business, in this industry, even people, obviously, we've heard it over and over again, people buy you before they buy your product. But I think each of us, Lavelle gives us an opportunity to create our own stories. And that is essentially how this business is built, through the experiences and stories of others. So I think it's really cool. My background actually is in oil and gas. I didn't go to college. Right out of high school, my dream was to be a Pixar animator, or to animate cartoons for Disney. Actually, I'm an artist, and that was my dream. But school was not in the cards for me. Okay, so I didn't go to college, but I got a really cool opportunity answering phones for a little brokerage firm for oil and gas. So I started there, worked my way up. And over the years, I eventually opened my own seismic acquisition company before the age of 21, and was running multi-million dollar prospects for the oil and gas industry. Had over 40 plus contractors that worked for our company. And then, like that, it all fell apart. The economy hit in 2008, 2009. I know a lot of us can relate to that and where our world is right now, which I think is another reason why our business model and this industry alone is so powerful. But so that's kind of how I got started. I fell in love with this industry because no one else would accept me. No other corporate job would even look at me. I didn't have a resume. Lisa, I even tried at Hobby Lobby, girl. Like, I'll organize the colored pencils. Like, I'll do whatever you need me to do. I went from earning 6 figures a year in oil and gas to months behind on my mortgage. The cars in my garage were going to be probably repossessed. I wasn't seeing my wife maybe but 4 to 5 times a month because we were traveling, trying to make ends meet. And then I found this industry. So Lavelle is not my first company. I think I've saved the best for last. Um, and I think through those, I don't even really like the word failures, but through those experiences in the industry, I have learned a lot. And I met the right people, became friends with individuals that I looked up to. And that was essentially how I found out about Lavelle. And it's been 6.5 years now.
How many network marketing businesses did you try before Lavelle, like roughly?
2.
Two. Okay. It's so crazy because I think a lot of people, I mean, I know I sign a lot of people that have done it before and they're kind of like so skeptical. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my, they have all these preconceived things and it's hard to like share with people why Lavelle is so different, or it's hard for them to believe it. When I tell them, wait, you don't
Yeah.
have to have an auto ship and you can get your products free. And they're all like, how is this possible? I was that way because I came from another company and I was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this seems all too good to be true. And it's just, I hate people thinking because they didn't see success with other network marketing companies that they won't with Lavelle. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people have that chip on their shoulder. Oh gosh, I'm going to another company. My market's going to think I'm crazy. They're not going to follow me because they're going to be like, what is this girl doing now?
Yeah. Right.
So when you were with the other two companies, did you see any kind of success, really, like good, great money or anything? Or was it kind
You
of
know,
just
I
little
I was
successes?
always, whenever I started out, so the thing about me is when I decide to do something, I am all in. And I
Of
have my
course.
circle of friends, I have my circle of like ride or dies that I pick up the phone, and they're my friends that are just completely optimistic and they're in to just see what happens, right? So with the other two businesses, it's always been in health and wellness because I really like health and wellness and what that stands for. Um, and in each company, I went through the ranks pretty quickly, but it never duplicated, right? And I think you being the comp plan expert, and a lot of people don't know this about me, but I actually worked for a company on the inside of a corporate company, very much like Lavelle. And I studied compensation plans for a living, right? And so I love everything about this company. Now I understand why my other ventures in this industry never panned out. But I think I got to the car level. I did get to the car level in one company, and I don't even remember how much volume you had to run. It was in a binary. It was really hard to build, but we hit the car level once or twice, and I was with that company 5 years. So it's like 2 or 3 times to hit the car level and you're with a company, and here you are, like, I can't even imagine how many thousands and thousands of 12Ks this company has, right? So yeah, I had a little bit of success, but it never grew. It would hit that point where I felt like, oh my gosh, Lisa, this is it, I've hit it, right? And then it would just slowly crumble, and it's like you're dragging people along trying to get them to feel it, like, no, just stick with it, like you've got it. And it is what it is. So it
That's
didn't.
what people don't get is like with Lavelle, we far exceed any other business I've ever looked at. We far exceed how many people in this company are making, over $1,000 a month.
Mhm.
That's life changing. That's game changing. Like that's an extra. If you're making an extra $1,000 a month, that's an extra $12,000 added to your pay a year. Like that's not chump change. That's huge. So
Yeah.
it's just so cool to be a part of a company. And like I said, I've been doing this call now for 2 years and I have barely repeated a 200K. Like it's just insane. And there's always new ones popping. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So I kind of want you to now take us through your journey. Like, okay, 6 years, I know a lot has happened, but let's start at the beginning. When you came in, did you go 4K in 30 days, get your VIP bonuses? Like, give me some time frames in between each rank all the way to 200K.
Okay, so our team grew really fast, really fast. When Charlotte and I found this company, we had less than $50 left to our name, and we had one credit card that we had already applied for, and thank God we had, on its way in the mail when I first found out about this. I am the person that found out about Lavelle.com and the Thrive Experience over a bucket of fried chicken. right? Like I was invited to a friend's house. They ordered Popeye's chicken and we sat, and like I see some of y'all laughing. It's the truth. Like I sat and a bucket of fried chicken and I'm watching this thing that pops up on the internet. And at that time, Chastity, I see her on here. You probably remember that 7.5 minute video. That's how we built it. And so I watched that video online and I immediately grabbed all the things that any entrepreneur, I think anybody in the industry would pick up on, and how this company is different outside of just the product, right? And I knew then, right then and there, I don't have the money for this, but I don't need the money for this. So I knew then, like, this is going to be big. And I already was thinking in my mind, that circle of my friends that I know needed the product. And I was searching for promoters. And I actually, to be honest and super transparent, had a really hard time finding customers. So everybody that I would talk to saw the opportunity. So at the end of my VIP 800, I think we hit VIP 800 and 1600. I had the promoters for that on the first day. First and second day, I had all the promoters lined up, but I was having difficulty finding the customers. So yeah, we did. We hit our VIP 800. We hit our 1600, 4K VIP, got the iPad mini back in the day. And we hit our 12K in a couple of days. We did, I think it was a little over $80,000 in sales in our first 45 days or so, like 30, 45 days. And then 200K, I think in 3 or 4 months, I think. So it sounds crazy. And it's, I'm kind of hesitant to share that because it's people come in and they get kind of not discouraged, but like, seriously, how does that even happen? But I just want to take everybody back that's watching this. And I want to remind you that I was about to lose my house. I wasn't seeing my wife very often. And I was miserable. I was embarrassed. I did not want any of my friends or family to know that I was in a financial crisis. And I was willing to do the things that before I wasn't willing to do, to have the things that I knew were possible in this business. So I sat down in the first 30 days and I pretty much had a messy bun and yoga pants on. I sat in a recliner with my I didn't even have a laptop then because I was so broke. I think I had a notebook and my cell phone and connection to Wi-Fi. And it just, with Facebook and social media, it grew really quickly for us.
So how long did it take to go 200K total? How many months was it?
Like 3 or 4 months, I think. It was pretty quick.
Yeah, that's so quick. That is like hugely quick. And I do like people that kind of know the backstory. And that's kind of why I always ask on this, did you do any previous network marketing? Because what people don't get is like, Chas is on here and Chas and I were in the same company but she didn't get crazy far in that company. But because she was doing all the right actions and building so many relationships just in general, she came over to Lavelle and went 200K in 30 days. Like
Right.
you were doing the right things for many years. Like you said, you were in one company for 5 years. That means for 5 years, you were making connections with people that maybe never even joined you. But the thing is they were watching and you finally signed up with something that they needed.
Yeah.
You finally had something they wanted. So there was a lot of work that you put your time into network marketing what I want people to see. It's not like you just jumped in and in, 4 months you went 200K. You
Right.
were working and building relationships and connections in this industry for quite a few years, right? It did not happen in 4 months. It's
Yeah.
kind of like people they don't know the backstory. They just kind of know that like highlight reel and they're
Yeah.
thinking, God, they're so good. And man, Nickie's so much better than me. Then there must be something wrong with me. Like I've been doing Lavelle for 2 years and I'm not even 12K yet. Like
Right.
we just start to compare ourselves to everyone else and you just don't know the backstory. And I always tell people, if you're new to networking and you have never ever networked before or owned another kind of business or just don't have a lot of friends outside your immediate little circle and you're just joining network marketing, it's going to take you 5 to 7 years. Like be on that plan. And if you're on that plan, you're not going to be disappointed. It's people that come in and they say they don't want to get rich quick scheme, but yet when they don't get rich quick, they're ready to quit. I'm like, Wait, you said you wanted a real business. This is how a real business works. So, okay, 6 years. I don't know how much you know about this Zoom, but I like to get super raw and real. As raw and real as you'll get, like whatever you're comfortable with getting raw and real with. But I am almost certain that in 6 years, it has just not been smooth sailing.
Yeah.
Um, I'm pretty sure there's probably been some bumps in the road, some roadblocks. When we get 200Ks on all the time that, they'll say, oh my gosh, I lost 200K before, or I missed a bonus, or I lost a bonus, or a huge leg left and went to another company, or I fell into management mode and my whole business was, just the things that can happen, or people don't like me. I've heard it all on these calls. And you know what the coolest part about it is that there's so many people on here right now that are going through something I know you've been through. So I don't know if you'd like to share with us anything that sticks out to you over the last 6 years that you had to overcome, that you had to push through, some things that have happened in your business that are happening to other people right now.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. All of those things that you've said, I've been through and I'm still going through. And before we kind of go into that, before I found Lavelle, I was the person, and I know a lot of you can probably relate to this if you've been in the industry. I had a tote full of my presentation material in the back of my car. I was probably traveling more than I was staying at home. I was constantly on the go in other people's living rooms. And thank God that we have this online business, Lisa, because it's never been easier for any of us with the click of a button or the click of a share button or something to share someone else's successes with this product. Because I was the person that had to stand. And again, this was over just constantly trying to find the right groove for myself and the right niche and where I fit in, for almost 10 years before I found Lavelle. So my very first company, I was 18 years old. And right out of high school, I was introduced to this industry from a neighbor that walked across the street. And back then, it was a massive bottle of juice that looked like wine. And we're supposed to have these parties for people. So I was having all these parties and explaining company product comp, right? Every single place you go. And, the word no, I don't have the money, I'm not interested, not a right fit, over and over and over again. And it kind of reminds me the story, Colonel Sanders. Maybe y'all are going to start calling me the chicken girl because I started this business over a bucket of fried chicken and these crazy analogies and examples. But Colonel Sanders, right? The guy retired. He was sitting at home, didn't feel fulfilled, had an awesome recipe for chicken, right? It was like his award-winning chicken. Everybody wanted it. And he went house to house to house, from company to company, knocked over on 1,000 doors, and they were slammed in his face and they weren't interested. But it took that one person to say yes, right? Like, we'll do it, right? And now look, it's like a household name. Everybody knows Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? So I would just like to tell you guys that if doors are being slammed in your face, you're not alone. We get doors slammed in our faces too. It's probably not as many, Lisa, right? Because of this company, but it happens. And I think even in the last 6.5 years, the people that I thought were my friends, okay, the promoters that started with me are not the people that are going to, I still have goals in my mind. They are not the people that are going to cross the finish line with you. And the sooner that you accept the fact that other people's opinions of you are none of your damn business, the faster you are going to excel in this business. And that, Lisa, took me a really long time to accept. So I think my biggest issue for myself in this business and the biggest obstacles to overcome have been internalizing, I'm not good enough, and that's crazy, right? But why did this person leave? Why did this person quit? Why doesn't this person want to work with me and they want to work with somebody in my upline? What am I doing wrong, right? And I think back now and I think it's the silliest thing. And I think personal development is something we could probably tap into on this Zoom. But in 1 month, you guys are, your floors are about to hit or your jaws are going to hit the floor when I tell you this. My mom's on here, I think. I just saw her on here. So she knows, because I called her crying. She was one of my first promoters, by the way. But I called her crying. I had lost myself in this business because not one, not two, but three of my personal 200K VIPs quit in 1 month. Like, what? Not
Oh
one,
my
not two, but three.
gosh. I'm so glad you're sharing this. This is like that. I feel you. I've had this happen, and you feel like your world's falling apart.
Yeah.
Like it's the scariest thing in the freaking world.
Mm-hmm. It really is, because then the fear of everything's going to fall apart. Like, what if what if this falls apart? What if my business doesn't continue? What if this happens? What if happens? Or what if that happens? Um, I had to realize that, everyone has their own journey, and everyone has a purpose in your life in that moment. Right. And I learned a lot from those 200K VIPs, and they just found something that they thought was a better fit for them. Right. And I mean, I'll be really honest, the cross recruiting, the compliance stuff, like all of it took away so much of my passion. It robbed me of my joy. And I was sitting here thinking, well, like, there goes my team. Like, I cannot believe this happened, right? And then you've got the haters, Lisa, like people on your own team, and things happen, and it's crazy. But when you put yourself and the reason why you love this business, and you never forget why you picked up the phone and shared it in the first place, people can go all day long. I would rather give birth than resurrect the dead. I'm not trying to bring people back to this business. Go on. If you want to go, right? Like, that's okay. I love you where you're at. All three of those people are now onto their third, fourth, or fifth company since they've left this business. That's got to tell all of us something. I'm not mad at them anymore, right? I don't have room for that in my spirit and my soul, but I was really mad when it first happened. So confused. And I hope that I hope you guys can relate to some of this, because you're not alone. People are going to leave your business. You're going to feel like it's the end of the world, and you're going to want to know why. But all three of those 200Ks left, confusion across the board. But you've got to wake up tomorrow, pop those 3 simple steps, and remember why you're here. Never forget how you feel on the product. And if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And remember, like, your I am statements, right? You probably hear that a lot. For me, I have to have them, because you know what? If I've built this once, I can do it again, right? If I've hit VIP 800, I could do it at the beginning of every month. Why am I not pushing myself to find those new people? They're out there. So that's happened. I think, building a business with people, another thing that I've had to learn is not everybody's going to like you. And that was really hard for me, really hard for me, because I'm a people pleaser, Lisa. I'm the yes girl, right? So it was difficult for me to know that, people in my own upline may not like me. And people in my downline may not like me, or people that are watching may not like me. And so I think a lot of personal development is really, really important in this business and in this industry. So that's the main thing that I can pinpoint that, like, happened that is traumatizing. The only other thing that happened, this is really embarrassing, and I'll be very transparent with you guys. We went, we had already hit the LV Millionaire Award at this point in the business. And I was so consumed with all of the drama that was happening in my team. I went straight like recluse. I was still active in the team page. I was still showing up every Wednesday to do the things, but I had this face on, right? And I was still trying to bring people in, but I wasn't myself anymore. I'd lost myself. It was a brand new month, right? And the first commission rolled around, and I'm looking at my commissions, and it says negative something. And I'm like, wait a second, like, support, like, something's wrong, support, I don't have commissions in my account, something's happening. I had gone an entire month and did not realize that I had let my customers fall off, and I was not active. So I missed out on a massive paycheck on a Tuesday because I didn't have my shit together. And I let everybody else's opinions and everybody else's crap dictate where I was going in this business. Pulled my pants up, pulled my bootstraps up, got going, and just said, well, that's a lesson that I've learned. And it was a hard one to learn. It's a hard pill to
Can
swallow.
I just tell you, there are so many people on this Zoom right now crying and whining and boo-hooing over things.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have not had those two things happen to you. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that your big paycheck that you did not get was big. Okay, it probably was not like $100. It was probably a good amount, and then to lose 300, 200K, 200Ks at the same time, you know, I and I get it. I the same exact thing, Nickie. Same exact scenario. We lost a couple 200Ks. All of them onto their third, fourth, fifth company.
Yeah.
Like they are just flailing about, and you had so many reasons to go, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do this anymore. This is so defeating. And you kept going. And I mean, now, and I don't know how long ago this was when you lost a bunch of 200Ks. Was it a long time ago? Recent? Was it?
It was probably, it was in 2018. So 2 years ago.
Okay, so 2 years has gone by since then. And what seemed probably like the worst thing that could ever happen to you in your life, now 2 years later, as you look back at it, um, eh, I mean, I guess what I want to ask is, have you been able to turn your business around?
Yeah. Yeah. For big time. And it didn't come easy. It did not come easy. When all of that was happening, I felt like I was losing my mind, right? Like, because they were my friends in this business. And so it was really difficult for me at first, but, um, I went back to the very first journal that I had in this business. And the day that I started as a Lavelle brand promoter, I wrote down in a journal all the reasons why I needed this business to work. I didn't know those three people when I started this business. Okay. Or they weren't in my business. They weren't the first people that I called. They were, I'd known of them from previous companies, but they weren't like my really good friends, right? So I didn't know them when I first hit promoter in this business. They came and they went, right? The people that I signed up in the beginning, a lot of them are still here with me today. And I had to shift my focus, right, on what serves me. And obviously that doesn't serve me anymore. So personal development, I sat and every morning I had to peel the layers back. I had to get back to, who I was when I started. And I had to sit down with personal development, write in journals every day. And you are what you attract, right? So you're going to attract what you are, vice versa. If I'm sitting in bed and I'm being a Sally soul sucker and I'm negative and I'm upset and I'm a, poor me, I can't believe this is happening to me, all of that energy is being put back out into the universe. I truly believe that. So who was I attracting? Right? The same type of people. So it took me a second to find my people again, right? Found my people. My mood started changing. I started surrounding myself with other individuals, and it eventually started taking off again. But it took a solid 3 to 6 months for me to dig myself out of a hole that I know that I was meant to go through, because imagine, right? Going through those things, it's only going to make you a stronger leader. It's only going to make you a better leader. You can adapt more. You can overcome a lot more, I think. And man, and if you look at it, right, like you were talking the highlight reel, a lot of people don't know that, right? There's some people on the team that know what we went through, but it's not something you want to broadcast every day, So Dean Graziosi, I really gravitated to him. That the How to Win Friends and Influence People, it's an oldie but a goodie. But the Millionaire Success Habits I really liked, and I went through that whole series. Did some other like personal development series. And once I went through that and I just kept the main thing, you know, and outside of that, one of the biggest reasons why I didn't completely quit, because absolutely there were times I'm like, you know what? The money is not worth this feeling. Like, and then I'm like, but it's not about the money, Nickie, right? Like, it's not about the money. Now look at the team that you have that's still here. And that every single day is the fuel and it's the motivator. Things are going to get hard, but you've got to remember there's a lot of eyeballs on you right now. If you're a 4K, if you just hit VIP 1600, people are looking at you and they want to be where you're at. It doesn't matter, necessarily. Well, that's a whole nother story. We'll go down that on a different Zoom maybe, but people are always watching you, right? And so I had to stand up and just say enough's enough and just kind of swallow my pride and get over it. So it took 3 to 6 months, but we have, like most of you guys know, Brandy Panson, right? Her and Katie Mason. There's a lot of new 200Ks that are in the magazine. She just hit LV Millionaire. My sister, Tara Ludovici, she's another 200K. She is super close to her LV Millionaire. So things are starting to compound, and it's like, have you ever heard the analogy, Lisa? It just takes one bad apple.
Yep.
So I feel like we just had to just kind of get on a ladder, smack the bad apples down, and then everything just starts growing. So as a team, I think we've all kind of gone through this roller coaster of a ride, but here we are.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being so vulnerable and sharing that, because there are people on this call right now that, I've heard, I would say in the last week, I had somebody messaging, complaining about their red leg.
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody else messaging that they just lost somebody. And I think we feel like we're the only ones that go through it. And the thing is that you reach your biggest struggles and hurdles, the bigger and bigger your team gets. You just run into more of those.
Mm-hmm.
It's life, and anything you do in this life. And it's not, unfortunately, it's not over. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the only hurdle it's not the only team you're ever going to lose, or the only, but what you have to keep doing is make a decision for yourself. And like you said, you got your mind right. You
Mm-hmm.
dove into self-development. You said, this is what I need to change. And then you kept going. And if you do that, see, that's the thing that people need to trust is, it's scary. And I get that there are a lot of people on this Zoom right now, and maybe their business isn't where they want it to be. Maybe they have gone through something, on a personal level or with their business, and they just feel like it's not fixable. What I can tell you, and I think from Nickie's story that you're learning is, and I've been doing this 10 years, Nickie, you've been in this industry a long time too, and not just with Lavelle, but just in general. You see a lot of things. And the one thing that I can tell you for sure is that the people that push through always come out on the other side. They always do. Always. Not just sometimes, they always do. And it's just a matter of time. It may be a year, it may be 2, it may be 3, but you will always come out on the other side if you get your mind right and you decide, this is what I'm doing. Like, no one else is going to dictate my success. They're not going to make me quit this. And I think when people stop having fun, I've noticed, like, when this just becomes a job,
Mm-hmm.
then that's really when they start losing it. Because what happened to the fun? Like, think about what we get to do in this business. Trips with people, and you get to meet new people, and it's just like you get to help people get healthy, and you get to hop on fun Zooms like this and hear stories. And like, there's nothing about this that isn't fun if you don't want it to be. But it's when you lose that fun and it starts being this, I've got to get to 12K. I've got to get to 12K. Now suddenly something you signed up for that you didn't even have expectations for, now suddenly you're putting time limits on your success, saying, well, if I don't get to 12K in a year, I'm quitting. It's like, where did the mindset shift? It's so crazy to me, especially when you have something like this, that it's proven people can get to the top of this comp plan. It's proven that if you stick with this and you are doing the right income producing activities and you stay consistent, you're going to get someplace. It's proven. We wouldn't be doing this Zoom now for 2 years with different people on reaching the top of this comp plan if that wasn't proven. Yeah. So you guys just have to trust. If you're on this Zoom going through something right now, and it may seem like the most terrible thing, trust us. Trust that you will get through that. You will get through it as long as you don't give up. And you're going to take you with you. Like Nickie, I'm sure those 200Ks, they took them with them, obviously.
Yeah.
If they're on to their third, fourth, fifth company, you're going to take you and your mindset and your issues and your lack of stability, worth ethic, consistency, whatever it is that made you give up, you're taking that everywhere you go. At some point you have to say, I'm going to stop doing this. Like, I need to change me. It's not the comp plan. The Vel comp plan hasn't changed. The products haven't changed. The only thing changing, if your mindset isn't right, is you. You changed it. I want to jump into, God, your story is so good. You have no idea how many people needed to hear this today. I would love to jump into like just some tips, because I think everybody builds their business a little bit differently. And for me, I was a belly to belly girl. Like every part of my business has been, I meet people out and about, I add them to Facebook, then I build a relationship further. COVID hit and I was like, oh my gosh. And I really had to switch up the way I was doing things. And I kind of dove into Facebook groups and figured them out. And it's been amazing. It's like a miracle that we can actually do what you said, work a business, sit behind a phone, click a button. We're just so blessed. But what are some things, because I'm sure after being in this industry as long as you have, you're kind of like out of your market. Like you've got to keep growing and meeting and like somehow getting new people in your, you know, looking at what you have, or at least involving them in your life. So what kind of things are you doing to grow your network even after all these years that you've been in the industry?
You know, it's a good question. I'm sure very similar things to what you're teaching your team. And I've actually implemented a lot of the things that you've said, and Chastity, I see you on here, and a couple of other you that are here today. I've implemented some of the things that you've said, right? So I think in order to succeed in this business, you've got to be willing to adapt and overcome, right? If the things that you're doing is not working for you, then you've got to change the things you're doing. And for me, it's really evolved, right? When we first got started, Thrive Experience calls were what did it, right? We could pack those calls out and orders were going crazy. We weren't really doing a whole lot of Facebook Lives in the beginning, but everything changes. So you have to be willing to adapt and overcome, right? For me, I never run out of people to talk to, ever. And I think that it's because I've never stopped talking to people just about life in general, right? So the more people you meet, the more people in the future you'll have to discuss business with or products with, right? So it's social media. I qualified for this trip with all people from groups, from Facebook groups. And I think every order that we've had this month were from people that I met in groups or their referrals. So Facebook groups for me are really big. I'm not so much on Instagram, but Facebook is kind of where my comfort lies right now. I'm still learning the whole Instagram thing. I could probably learn a lot from you guys on this Zoom, but Facebook group. So I have a pit bull. Okay. I don't have children. I'm an auntie, right? So I am all about groups. And every single day I'm hitting like minimum 2 to 3 groups. And I am intentionally finding somebody that I can connect with. I'm giving them like, you know, the compliments, genuine compliments, obviously. And I'm just trying to build friendships and relationships because I know what's going to happen. In my mind, this is what separates, I think, a lot of us from the limited thinkers. Every single person that is alive on this planet needs this product. I know it. I believe it. So whoever I'm talking to, they need this product. They just may not know why they need it yet, right? So I think if you listen and you watch more than you talk, and if you just, you know, listen to what people are saying and find that desire, what somebody really wants or what they need, you've won the game. You know, and so that's kind of been my mission from the very beginning, is honing in on not trying to be the fan favorite and have all these followers and all this stuff, but finding a small group of women that is continuously just funneling through my life, really, right? So we start as friends on Facebook, and if it's a good friendship and it's staying connected and we're back and forth, then it's going to evolve. If it's not meant to be, then it won't, right? So Facebook groups are huge for me. Every day I'm in those groups, and actually friending them, messaging them, and watching on their Facebook. How am I supposed to offer a product to somebody if I don't even know why they would want it in the first place? I think getting samples out in people's hands. I have a love-hate relationship with samples. I'll be honest. I did not sample for a long time because in the very beginning, right, I went back to how I got started in the beginning, and people were buying 400, 800 packs off the start, right? So I went through this love-hate relationship with samples, and I finally kind of came through and said, you know, I've got to put samples in more people's hands. I've got to get back out, and I've got to offer a sample to break that barrier, right? Especially if it's cold market. When you're connecting with people online, I had to remember that you're a complete stranger to these people, right? And you might be talking to them a little bit, but how do I know that they're not being spammed by all of these other companies, right? The thing that keeps us different from everybody else in the industry is hopefully you guys aren't sending the message, hey girl, right? Like, I've been watching you, and you know, I know we met in this group, but you know, I don't like that. That doesn't feel natural to me, and I don't like that personally. And I think a lot of other companies are crafting up those long messages and teaching their distributors to copy and paste and send it to everybody in their freaking friends list. So no wonder if you're just going to them and saying, hey, right? They're like, not again. If you're adding them to the groups, everybody and their mother's added to a group. I don't even know some of these people. Do you guys feel me? If you feel me, hit in the comments, in the chat, like, I totally get it. Because that's where I was, being invited to all of these groups, Lisa, right? So
I hope people like heard you, because you guys, everybody is doing something nowadays. I mean, scroll through your Facebook, whether they're doing like even not network marketing, but they people are just like starting an Etsy store, or they started a boutique, or they're doing selling lashes or candles, or it doesn't matter, right? But the thing is because everybody's doing that, so many of them are in your inbox. And you know how I know it, and you know how you guys all know it, just like Nickie said, we're getting those spammy messages.
Mhm.
And I know how I feel when I get them. We have to be different. And
Yeah.
yes, it takes time to build the relationship, but you've got to be different, because if you're not, it's probably the biggest reason. Like, if you guys are sending out scripts, if you're copy and pasting, if you're treating everyone the same way, it is probably one of your biggest reasons why you're not getting to where you need to be, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. If y'all are signing customer after customer with some spammy message, don't
Do it.
stop.
Yeah.
Go, keep going. Okay. If that is working for you, I have just found that does not work for me. And the majority of the people that I work with, it doesn't work for. So it's not something I'm going to teach, right? If it doesn't duplicate, don't teach it. However, there's definitely things I do in my business that I wouldn't teach people that do work for me. And if it does, you keep on doing it. Like, don't fix what's not broken, right? And speaking of income producing activities, like, what kind of does your day look like, as far as, because I think some people get so caught up in doing things that they think are growing their business when they aren't at all. Like, they're like, dude, I know all the ingredients, and I know, like, I'm on every Zoom, and I don't miss a call. And they're like, why is my business not growing? And it's because they're not like actually doing things that produce income down the line. So how do you kind of keep yourself from not falling into the pattern of doing things that you think you're working, but you're really not? Like, so you're actually working. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was like a tongue twister.
No, I know exactly what you mean. And I've been there. So I've got caught up in the busy work, right? Like the things that I put on my shoulders as a leader that I thought were expected of me. Okay. It is not my job as a leader to make your call graphics, right? If you have a Thrive Experience call, use the template, right? Make your own graphics. I got so caught up in trying to help everybody do the little things, right? Because again, Lisa, I was the people pleaser, right? Over time, I just found that I was creating a team full of people that couldn't do the basics because I was doing everything for them. Like, that's crazy. So we peeled the onion back again, and the consistent things that we teach, like that 5-4-3-2-1, that stemmed from y'all's team somewhere, probably. Chastity, I know that y'all talk about it, this 5-4-3-2-1 thing, okay? Once I heard about that and started implementing it, I think it's great. But I also know for a fact that if you're only doing the 5 reach outs, the 4 follow-ups, the 3 things, right, all that, you are not going to go 200K in this business. You may over time, but what I have found is if you compress your time frames and you do more in 30, 60, 90 days than you would in your first 6 months to a year, we're looking at the last 60 days of 2020. So you better fine tune a lot of these little things that you're doing. And for me, it's very intentional because I had a damn wake up call, Lisa. I don't know if you know this, but Charlotte and I went from newlyweds, right? 15 years together, just got married 2 years ago. No kids, none of that, a house to ourselves, we can go as we please. Now we're a family of 7, okay? I've got 3 kids that live here with me now, ages 3, 7, and 10. They're my nieces and nephews, and I've got a Mima upstairs, right? She's 83. So my life has changed, and I tell you what, I have more respect for the mothers on my team today because I understand. If you're a mama on this, like, I feel you, sister, because I've had to fine tune my IPAs, like my daily method of operation, the income producing activities. And I'm even learning today, Lisa, that I am accomplishing so much more being busier. Does that make sense? It sounds crazy, but I am getting so much more done with the less amount of time that I've got because it's intentional. So I think before you create a plan to do anything, you have to sit down with a timer. You've got to sit down with pure intention. This is what I'm doing. If you get caught in scroll, you're in big trouble. Okay. So you've got to time yourself. But for me, I've got a calendar, like a printout calendar, and this works for me. This little box, it is cheap. I got it from the dollar store, but this box this is my customers and my prospects. Okay. They all have a little card. Every day I wake up, I know exactly who I'm talking to. I know exactly who's sampling. I know exactly who is going through the funnel. All of those things I have because I'm organized. So I touch this business every single day in some sort of way. The follow-ups are on point, and you've got to set schedules. You have to know what you're doing. And I think I heard my sister say this one time. She said, you've got to know to grow in this business. You have to know to grow. If you don't know who's sampling, if you don't know who on your friends list has never heard of Thrive, if you don't know who in your team levels 1 through 4 are going for VIP 800, right? If you don't have a time scheduled in your day to look at your VIP reports, right? To look at auto ship reports. Okay, if you don't have a time scheduled just to write a thank you card, or I know you do it all online, Lisa, right? It's simple. If you're not doing those things, if you don't know what's happening, you're not going to grow your business. So every day, a couple things I do, I'm in the groups, Facebook groups every day. I spend a short amount of time on that. All the people that I have sampling are getting a message from me. All the people that haven't ordered yet that are outside of their sample are being invited to a Tuesday or a Thursday call with Lavelle, or one that I have going on. You're always leading up to the next event. And I feel like if you're not doing that, you're missing the boat. Why would we not let other leaders that are successful in this business help us build this business, right? Like the Tuesday, Thursday calls are brilliant to put people onto them that Lavelle hosts already. Like, why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we use that? A lot of your uplines probably already interviewing a lot of people, right? Who can I talk to today, Lisa? Every day. You're always building for the next event to expose those people to someone else's story. So that, I think, is one of the biggest things that has warranted new growth for us is, the nooks and crannies, of course, but being intentional and knowing why these people want the product before you expose them to a story of someone that already has what they want. Does that make sense? It's like you're
Yeah,
matching
and
the mirror to all
I
these people.
can't even like express enough how there's so many people right now on this very Zoom that, okay, you know how you picked up that box and you said, these are the people. These are people I'm connecting with, following up with, customers. I don't even care if you guys have not one customer. I don't care if you've never signed a customer. If you do not have some kind of box, notebook, spreadsheet, however y'all want to do it, in your phone, if you don't have a list of people, this is where you're going wrong. You've got to keep track. You have to know who I've talked to, what have we talked about, where are they at on this journey, this process of taking them from, just somebody that didn't know to asking the question to now I'm working on them. Like you have to have some kind of a system, whatever that system is for you. And I mean, I could put 1,200 different 200Ks on this call that will give you a different system, but
Right.
they have a system. They have a system, and that's what matters. And I think that's the biggest thing is people. One of the things that always sticks out to me in network marketing, and one of the quotes I've seen from the beginning is, it's like success without a plan. You cannot see success without a plan. If you're just waking up in the morning seeing where your day is going to take you and you're not being intentional with your time, you're going to get so caught up with all of the other things, and the scroll, that big time is huge. The scroll, but just life, like, oh, I did my laundry and I did my dishes. Like, you guys have a plan with everything else you do in life, right? Like, when your kids' doctor's appointments are, the day you got to go to the bank, and then you've got to go to the grocery store. Everything else in your life is planned out. Why would you not think that this needs to be planned out too? It's so huge if you're not being intentional. And I kind of wanted to, oh my gosh, I could literally interview you for like 2 days. I want to try to get a couple more questions in. I want to know what you do. Let's say I'm in your inbox today and I'm like, okay, Nickie, I've been watching you. I'm ready to sign as a promoter. What now? Where do you take me in those first 2 weeks to try to help me get those VIP bonuses? Because let's face it, it is not easy getting those VIP bonuses. Like, they wouldn't give you $660 on $800 in sales if it was easy. Like,
Right.
not everybody's going to get those, but to help somebody get one of those, like at least one, it is
Yeah.
so huge. It's
Yeah.
so huge. So what do you do?
Yeah. Well, first of all, if anybody comes to my inbox and says, "All right, Nickie, I've been watching you. Like, I want to sign up as a promoter," I'm not playing. Okay. I will say, I am in a voice memo, like, "Girl, I'm so excited for you." Right. Anna, I'm really excited for you. What's your number? I'm going to call you really fast. Right. And I am just immediately talking to them on the phone. If somebody wants to build a business, right, then we need to treat it like a business. And it's my job as their promoter and their sponsor to guide them through that process. We've just, as a team, created some new things. So on our team from the very beginning, we have, and over time, we've evolved and we've kind of modified and edited this video we've got, but there's always been a pinned video to the top of our team pages. Back in the day, Lisa, we had a fast start recording. So every time somebody would join this team, all they had to do was plug them into a recording, right? And it was somebody in the upline, right? "Hey, so-and-so, this is Nickie. I'm just one of your, top 200Ks on your team. In the next couple of minutes, we're going to talk about the only things that matter," right? So we've always had something in place that has completely phased out with Facebook and Instagram and even websites now, different apps you can use. But we have two things. So the second someone comes into the business, they are immediately put into, obviously, the welcome calls and stuff. Connection is key. People, they come and go in this industry, but the ones that stick are the ones that you have a connection with. It's the glue. So I truly believe that if you are not building rapport and friendships with your team members, right? Everybody likes to feel a part of, and it's our job, right? We are building a culture and a community on the team. Okay. If you don't have that, why in the world would anybody want to stick around and build a team when they're out floating on a life raft or on a little life raft, right? So you want to bring them in. Communication straight away. Welcome to the team. I think it's important to get them on the phone with somebody that they could be working with in your upline. It's a welcome call. welcome calls are really cool. We love to do them. And then we add them into a private, there's probably 20 to 30 people max in this group at a time. It's a VIP group. And they phase into this group and they're only in that group for 14 to 21 days. What I have found, Lisa, over time is, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, or what you guys do, but when you bring somebody into this business and they're automatically popped into a team page, right? And they see State of Lavelle call, they see this call, they see that, they see here's a Zoom, here's a this. None of that stuff matters in their first 14 to 21 days, right? Here's a recording for this call. Oh, here's this Zoom, right? When somebody is telling me, you know, I really want to do this, but I don't really have a whole lot of time. I am like in my mind, I'm scared to put them in a team page that I know is just bombarded with all this stuff, right? So we kind of fine tune it in the first 14 to 21 days. You pop into this group and there's units that are lined up and they announce themselves. Hey, I'm new, right? There's mentor tabs in there so they can choose a mentor in the groups, and somebody's working with them for their first 14 to 21 days. Once they go through that, they should know, right? Passion over perfection. It is not our job to know everything, every ingredient in this product. You're wasting your time, right? You know, 1, 2, 3, everybody starts the same way. Help everybody start on the 3 core steps. It's our flagship products. And then once we develop an experience, right, 4 to 8 weeks, then they can venture out in the plus line. There's so many things, right, Lisa, that this company has done. So many innovations, so many patents. I had to put myself in a place of a brand new promoter and go back to when we got started and remember, I didn't have all of that noise, right? It's excitement, but it's noise, okay? If you're in a restaurant, right, and you have been Miss Waitress, right? So if you're in a restaurant and you are so zoned in on a conversation with somebody, right? It doesn't matter what that conversation is. If there's a bunch of noise and racket in the background and they're singing happy birthday to someone, right? Or if there's a little fling going on in the back and everybody's hooting and hollering, you're going to stop what you're doing, regardless of how excited you are in this moment with this person, and you're going to stop what you're doing, break your concentration, and look at whatever else is going on. That's exactly what happens in this business. So we had to remove the distractions, even though distractions are cool, like everything that's going on is important, but it's not the most important thing in that moment, right? So that's what we do, and it's been working. And so from there, then they're added into a 200K team page, right? So that's kind of what we do on the team.
I like not overwhelming them either. I think sometimes, you know, I think one of the biggest reasons that people are scared to join a business like this is the time. They're like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to do all these things. So if you're adding them to like 50 pages and 20 chats, it's like
yeah,
super overwhelming. It's like, don't do that. Okay, my last question. Self-development. You've touched on that a little bit. I just don't think self-development gets enough credit. I don't think that people put enough time into it. I don't think they understand the role that it plays in your success, in everyone's success. Like, I think back to the person that I was when I started this journey 10 years ago. I don't even know who that person is. Like, if I stayed that person, I would not be here today. I know that for a fact. There's so many things I had to change about myself, down to, you know, things like getting more organized, because I was a super messy, unorganized person, which I still am those things, but not when it comes to my business that I take super seriously. Or even, you know, I remember just getting ticked off at people, you know, driving. Like, I was just negative. Like, I look at my old self and I think if I conducted myself with people the way that I did before, I wouldn't have a team, right? If I just said what I thought and did whatever and expected people to conform to me, you know, all the things that I did in my other life, kind of that attitude where I don't need to change anything. You need to accept me for who I am. Just dumb stuff that used to come out of my mouth. I now look and go, who was that person? But if you had to give somebody that is new to self-development, that kind of doesn't really know where to start, where to go, what are 3 things that you feel like these are things that you can start with, do them every day? They're really going to help you kind of get into that mode of, just changing your thought process a little bit.
Mhm. I think the very first thing I would encourage everyone to do, it's probably not something you've heard, or it's probably something you've heard another leader say, but have you done it? Is actually sitting with yourself and asking yourself, what do I want? I think personal development, you are developing yourself. So, what do you want for yourself? I think a lot of times we say personal development or that kind of term, and we're like, okay, well, I'm going to go to YouTube and type in personal development, right? But if you don't know what you want and why you want it, then when you're searching for personal development on YouTube or something like that, it's not going to connect the way that you need it to connect. So, I would challenge you guys. Again, we're less than 60 days away from a new year, right? What do you want? Why do you want those things? What does your future look like? What does your future team look like? And I am a dream board enthusiast. I absolutely love the power of visual manifestation and actually connecting with the things that you want and why do you want them. I think we say that we want things a lot in life, but do we really want them? Right? Do we want them because it's other people want them and it's like something that we should want in life, or something that we actually want? So you've got to know that. You've got to know what you want first. So number one, build a dream board, right? And I've got my very first one. I sat with a bottle of $5 wine, probably on the floor, cutting out magazines on New Year's Eve one night because we couldn't afford to do anything else. So we cut all these things out of a little magazine, books and books and books and magazines, tons of things that I'd collected from my dentist office. I get to joke now because she's a thriver, but I would take the magazines, be like, hey, can I get a couple of these magazines? She's like, go ahead, Nickie, you can have a few magazines. But you've got to create your life visually, and you actually have to believe that you can do it. I'm not trying to get woo-woo on y'all, okay? My Texas swing just came out. I'm trying to be honest with what I know has helped me. You've got to know what you want and why you want it, because then that connection is really going to push you into those directions, and you're going to start the universe, you're going to attract those things to you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is every single morning you need, actually I'd say night, whatever works for you, but I think you've got to wake up earlier than the kids, right? Or you've got to, as soon as the kids go to bed, instead of sitting on the couch and watching Netflix or whatever it is, I get it, right? You've got to set yourself up for the next day. Okay. What are your goals? Why do you want them? Okay. And journaling. So number one, dream board. Two, you've got to know your goals. You've got to have them in writing, and you need a plan of action. If you're not planning, you're planning to fail. I saw it in the comments earlier. And then the third is gratitude journaling. Every day, this is probably where some of y'all are like, okay, girl, fine, gratitude journal, whatever, do it, right? Just do it. Wake up in the morning. What are the things that you're thankful for? Not in this day. What are the things that you're thankful for that is happening for you, not to you, but for you in the future? Okay. My gratitude journal things today was I am so grateful and happy that I understand how to control the energies that are flown to me. Okay. I dictate how I feel, right? And I dictate what I'm going to absorb in my life. I can either be negative about something, or I can choose to be positive. That in itself, Lisa, it sounds silly, but the power of choice, right, is huge in your success. It goes back to the very beginning of this interview. I chose to, finally, it took me a while, I chose to say, I'm not going to deal with that anymore. Return to sender. This is not my problem, right? So dream board, I'd love to see them. Your gratitude journaling, I think it needs to happen every single day. 5 to 10 minutes, a plan where you're sitting with yourself. You've got to serve yourself before you serve everything else. And then can I give one more tip, and then I'll pass it back to you?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
this last thing I would say is if you look at, let's say you're on a really busy, like Main Street, and there's a lot of boutiques on this street, right? Or there's a lot of busy businesses. And if somebody walking up the street is ready to order, right? They want to go into a store, they go to this street because they want to shop. Okay. What makes your store stand out to that person? Even if you're all similar stores, right? You've got to have your sign on. You've got to have that I'm open for business. Turn the sign on every morning. If you don't wake up with that ambition and that excitement to open your business doors and thrive out loud and let people know that you're open for business every single day, the last thing that you want is a message from somebody that says, like, hey, are you still thriving? That message should never come across your inbox. And if it does, you're in a scary territory, right? Absolutely, I'm your Thrive person, right? So you've got to have your open sign on. And that, I think it's one of the big tips that I hope if you've caught anything from this today is be yourself regardless of what other people think of you. Okay. You absolutely can do this business with who you are. You don't need to change who you are to be successful in this business. Lavelle doesn't care who you are. They don't care what color you are. They don't care who you love, right? They don't even care how much money you have in your account. They just want you to lock arms with this platform, love our product, and share it with others. And the motto of the company is what? Helping other people live the life that they deserve, right? So I would just challenge each and every one of you to wake up, get fired up for yourself and for your team, and turn your open sign on. You're open for business. You're open for the blessings. You're open for opportunity in this business. All of those things. So I think that's it, Lisa. I'll pass it back to you. Thank you so much, by the way. This has been really killer. I appreciate it.
I love that, putting yourself in that thought process of imagining your business
Yeah.
on a road with businesses just like yours. What would you do to make that business stand out?
Right.
Because really that's the world we're facing. There's a ton of people out there that have health and wellness products, but what sets Lavelle apart? Like, that's why we're flashing that DFT. You want people to know that you are their Thrive person, so they don't go with someone else when they decide to thrive. It's just, you gave so many golden tips and nuggets, and I just so appreciate your vulnerability, because I know that there's so many people on today that just needed to hear your story and things that you've gone through, because they know they're not alone, and they also know that somebody's had it worse. I mean, wherever you're at now, I hope you guys realize that you can push through it. You can absolutely push through it. And I mean, it's just, I'm so grateful for you, Nickie, seriously, today, that you hopped on and shared with us. And um, you took an hour out of your life, because it wasn't a short interview, but everything, man, you just said so many things that I needed to hear today. So I'm just so grateful. And I know there's going to be, I already have, like, as this Zoom was going on, I already have in my messenger people messaging, this is amazing. Is it going to be recorded?
Yeah.
Absolutely, guys. If it's recorded, so I know y'all had people on this Zoom or not on that you wish were on. We'll get the recording out to you guys as we do every week. And don't forget, every week, guys, if you want to hear stories like these and tips like these, make sure that you are marking this on your calendar. I feel like this is some self-development, this Zoom. I
Yeah.
love it. It's like some self-development for the week too, but make it a priority, and I tell you what, you guys are going to get some great tips. But more than anything, what I realize is how many 200Ks get on. Everybody has different stories, but everybody says the same things over and over and over. And success leaves clues.
Mhm.
It's like, how many weeks can you guys attend this Zoom and hear somebody say, have a system? Are you writing things down?
Mhm.
Make sure that you're not overwhelming people. Like, we hear these same things, and it's like, at what point do we go, okay, this is what I should be doing?
Right. It's like
I hope one of these weeks it'll
have
kick
you
in
ever,
for people.
have you ever heard the feather, the brick, and the truck? Have you ever heard anything about that?
No.
I was listening to a podcast real fast. It's the feather, the brick, and the truck. It's like The feather is sometimes these Zooms, right, that you're watching. It's the feather that just tickles the back of the neck or just softly touches the arm. You can feel it and you know, like, man, I need to be doing more Facebook Lives. Like they're saying it, I really need to be doing it. And if you don't listen, right, and then things start happening in your business, you start self-sabotaging and you're not where you want to be. And then you get a message from someone that says, like, hey girl, I just started thriving. I'm so excited. And it's your personal friend, right? That's a truck, or that's a brick smacking you over the head, right? Like that could have been your promoter. And because you're not consistent and because you didn't listen to do those things, now you just got hit in the head with a brick and you lost somebody in your business, right? And if you still don't listen, right? Because the universe is trying to tell you, Lisa, girl, what are you waiting on? Like the only thing that's stopping you from success in this business is the reflection in the mirror, brother. Like that's it, man. You just got to get up and do a business. The last thing that happens, it might be where you just get plowed, just knocked over by a truck and half of your team leaves. A 200K leaves or a this leaves or something happens where that is the motivator to say, you know what, I cannot rely on my team alone to get me where I want to be. I can't stay in this comfort zone, right, anymore. I have to move in the direction and pursue my dreams, right? I have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because if I want change, I've got to be willing to change. So if this Zoom, even if it's not this one, I just appreciate the opportunity to hang with you guys for a bit. But if it's a Zoom last week, or maybe it's next week's Zoom, if you feel like that little feather is just tickling you on the back of the neck, or if in your mind you're like, man, I really need to do that. You don't want to be hit in the head over a brick, right? Or hit over the head with a brick, and you don't want to be hit by a truck. So pay attention to those signs. If you feel it in your gut, you've got to follow it. And you've got to know that I am thinking this for a reason. I'm on this Zoom for a reason. So the only thing left is action. You've just got to find something from one of these Zooms that you can touch, feel, and connect with, and just do it. Because doing it is the only way you're going to learn. You've got to just get out there and Nike it, right? Just do it. So
I love
sure.
that. And it made me think about how many people, in the past have messaged me and said, I can't believe it. My neighbor just signed up with someone else. And
Yes.
we're always looking for someone to blame. That's
Yeah.
a learning. That's like look in the mirror and say, why didn't they sign with me?
Yeah.
Why? Let's
Uh-huh.
talk about that. Like, why didn't they sign with me? And it's probably because you either didn't tell them,
Mm-hmm.
ask them, put yourself out there. I mean, that's it. We want to go blame other people and get mad. But at the end of the day, if we were doing what we were supposed to be doing, that's like a wake up call.
Yeah.
All the things you just mentioned
Mm-hmm.
are all learning experiences. It's how you're going to take it, how you're going to process it, and what you're going to do after it.
Yeah.
It's not just quit. It's people are always looking for reasons to quit.
Mm-hmm.
Start looking for reasons to stay. Look
Mm-hmm.
for reasons to keep going. And don't forget why you started in the first place. That's one of the biggest things I also got out of what you said today is don't forget why you started.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you always have that at the forefront and you don't forget how amazing this product is and what it's done for you and other people, that whole quitting thing, you can take it off the table and
Mm-hmm.
move forward and get past whatever funk you're in or whatever's going on right now in your business. Whatever hurdle, or hole you've fallen into, you can always crawl out as long as you don't give up and you just find solutions, right? Find solutions. Nickie,
And it's
oh
like,
my gosh, this was so awesome.
oh, I
Thank you
appreciate you.
so much.
Yeah.
So much, you guys. As I always say on Tuesdays, we get paid twice, obviously through our awesome paycheck that just hit our account, but also I feel like we get paid even greater through this Zoom every week with the tips and the stories and the knowledge that we get from whoever the guest is. And this week, man, Nickie, you blew it away.
No,
I have a feeling people are going to be sharing the recording of this one quite a bit. So I will get it out to you guys. And we'll see you next week. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, same link. Save it in your phone. And we'll have a brand new guest on. And I'm super excited to end out the year. I've got a lot of good people. So you guys don't want to miss this Zoom. See you guys next week. Thanks, Nickie, again.
see ya.